Hello everyone, this is the Hidden Library. Welcome back to another video. So instead of jumping in on what I'm reading, I'm actually going to tell you how I encountered Nancy Drew. So I don't know how long this video is going to be, but I will definitely try not to make it a 15-minute video because I can't upload videos longer than 15 minutes. So that's just how it goes until probably next year when I will be able to do a much more detailed one. Okay, so I'm 40 years old and I was born in 1979, and when I was about 10 years old, my mother came home from whatever she was coming home from. She was pregnant with my brother, and she introduced me to Nancy Drew through a book called The Clue of the Whistling Bagpipes. I don't remember what number it is in the series. And I was staring at this book for a long time. She knew I love reading, and I think she was kind of wondering why the rule wasn't I just picking this up immediately and starting to read. And I really wasn't into mysteries. I was more into like things 10-year-olds are into, like, you know, fantasy and fairy tales and all that type of stuff. So finally, it got to the point where the book just would not leave me alone. It was begging to be picked up and read. So I read it. And I immediately fell in love with Nancy Drew. I fell in love with her world and everything. And I just loved how she was smart and she was innovative and she could get herself into these really weird situations, and she always managed to get out of. She had two loyal best friends that I never had. I mean, I was unpopular, probably because I did befriend a lot of people that were shunned by other people because I knew what it was like to be them. So I was this type of person that I didn't care about your money. I didn't care how poor or rich your parents were, what kind of house you lived in. As long as you were a good person, I befriended you and I extended that friendship to you. Unfortunately, just like today, a lot of people do not understand that having good friends that will always have your back, is important. And Nancy's friends always had Nancy's back, and that's what I really liked about her. I like the fact is that her father was an attorney, and she had sort of like a mother figure. And you know, unlike her, I didn't know what it was like to not have a mother around. So I couldn't put myself in that position of, you know, about what it was like to not have a mother. Of course, I now know what it's like to not have a mother. My mother passed away nearly 3 months ago, so I know what it's like not to have a mother anymore. But I really liked Nancy Drew, but my mother didn't buy any more Nancy Drew books, which was sucked big time. I kept on rereading the book, even though I knew who the villain was and all that type of stuff. I still read the books. Then I think about maybe like 5 or 6 years ago, I don't know how long it was, I was in the library and I discovered these covers that I didn't recognize. And see, I wasn't really, I really didn't know the history of Nancy Drew. I just knew at that point that she had a yellow cover, yellow binding, yellow spine. I didn't really know that the Nancy Drew that I read was actually a redone model of what she had been. So I went and they had The Secret of the Old Clock, but the cover was different. And I was like, okay, it's the same title, the same author. So I opened it up and there was a disclaimer in it stating that this is the original The Secret of the Old Clock, how it was printed in the 1920s. I think this list is like 1924. I don't remember. And so I checked it out. because I was interested in, like, okay, this is the same story that I read, but the book is a lot thicker. And actually, it had 25 chapters in it, and there was a lot more in it that wasn't in the original, not the original, but the one that I had read years ago. And I noticed that there were words that if you used them today, you would basically be beaten up for it or be assaulted for it, like using the N word, all that type of stuff. I don't let me think. I do think that Nancy did use the N word, but it did not. It did not take away from how much I really liked the character. I knew from the disclaimer that I was reading an original and that her language would not be permissible in today's society. But I enjoyed the book, and it was the same villain, the same person who did it, and and so, you know, or the same perpetrator, the same bad guy. It was still the same ending to the book. It, you know, nothing had basically changed. It was still, you went through the same series of events, and you still, you know, ended up where you were at. So I said to myself, you know, I really did like this book, and I really get why they cleaned it up in the 1960s. So, you know, so I decided, hey, you know, I'm going to check out the other books and see how far do these, you know, these releases of these original, you know, 1920s, 1930s books, how far do they go? And I still don't know how far they go, because currently my library is closed and I owe massive fines. But I think that when you read it in the original context, it really helps you better understand the world in which these authors, these ghostwriters who wrote under the name Caroline King, what they were thinking. And, you know, I did like her original car. I think it was, I don't know, was it a Model T? I don't know. But I liked her original car. And in the Nancy Drew Reporter, she's driving this, I think it's a Model T. I think it might be a Model T. It might be a Packard. I don't know. But she's not driving a convertible, because those were not out back in the 1920s. So I really loved that about, you know, about Nancy Drew Reporter. You saw her in the car that she originally was in the earlier editions of this book. So I don't really know how many times she's been redone, but I do know in the early 2000s, I think it was 2007, maybe 2008, they discontinued Nancy Drew, and I was really, really upset about that. They discontinued, I should say, they discontinued the run of books. I know they have a new one, but she celebrated her anniversary. I think it's 90 years. I'm not exactly sure. And I decided, you know, because my mother passed away nearly 3 months ago, and I did get offers of condolences. I do really appreciate it, big time. So I decided that I was going to start collecting the Nancy Drew books, from The Secret of the Old Clock all the way to the last one that was published in the early 2000s. This is going to take a very long time, but I'm not just collecting them, I'm actually reading them. And even though I know the ending, a lot of the books that I did read years ago, I don't remember how it ended. So it's kind of like reading them for the first time and everything. I don't even remember who the person was in the book I read when I was 10. So I'm doing that. So I have books 1 through 5. Well, no, I don't actually have books 1 through 5. I have 2, 3, and 4 that have to come in, and those 3 are coming in on Thursday. So I'm really excited about that. So as when I get done reading them, I will do a review of the book. I may just go ahead and restart the one I'm on so that I can do a better review of the book than if I was at right now. So anyways, yeah. So another thing I want to say is I really do like the computer games of it. They did have a Nancy Drew one for the Nintendo system, for the handheld system. I can't find that one anywhere. But, yeah, so I used to play that as well, and I kept on getting stuck. And that's before they had, like, message boards and all that type of stuff. But, yeah, so definitely looking forward to starting this journey and letting you guys see what books that I get and everything. So I will see you guys around, and until next time, may you keep reading and be safe and be healthy. Bye.